Welcome back to Turnpike Takes, where we talk New Jersey basketball all season long. Thanksgiving is coming up real soon, and that means tournament season is right around the corner. Rutgers, Seton Hall, Princeton, almost all of the New Jersey teams are taking part in tournament season. Dylan, start us off what Rutgers is going to be facing this upcoming week.
So Rutgers is for the second year in a row going to participate in the Players Eras Festival in Las Vegas. And this year, not headlined by Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, but the contract we signed was a 2-year contract. So we begin tomorrow, 1 o'clock sharp against Tennessee, the number 20 in the country Volunteers. I presume they will jump in the rankings when the new ones drop before the game tomorrow. This will be a game where we're already Tennessee's already favored by 14 and a half points. We'll be heavy underdogs after suffering a pretty embarrassing loss at home to Central Connecticut State Friday night in a blowout victory for the Blue Devils. And so there won't be any expectations for this game against the Volunteers, especially as a fan like me, not pretty low on this team right now. But we'll see what they can show in that game. And in the next 2 days, they will have one scheduled against Notre Dame on the 25th, the Tuesday at 1 o'clock as well. And depending on the results of those two games, they'll take on a to be determined opponent at a to be determined time on Wednesday, the 26th. And this tournament will be a very good way to see what this team's made of because, one loss to a non-conference opponent, this happened last year. Rutgers was 4-0, or sorry, 3-0 going into the tournament. They had one game against Kennesaw State on the road just to get through before going to Vegas, and they dropped it. It was like a homecoming game for Ace Bailey, and he dropped the game. And this happened again for the second straight year. But you know what? If they can bounce back in the tournament, it's a very good opportunity for them to bounce back. They could easily gain morale quickly, and before jumping into the gauntlet Big Ten schedule to see what this team is made of. This past week, Rutgers obviously losing to Central Connecticut State, 67 to 54 in pretty brutal fashion. We were losing four by half. I was in attendance for this game, and there was just no offense. There's no offensive movement. The ball was pretty stagnant on the court. Central Connecticut State was moving it around. Our defense was getting pretty tired. And you know what? Props to them. They made the shots when they needed it most. At one point in the second half, the starters were not getting it done, and Coach Steve Peichel had an interesting substitute, subbing out all five starters and bringing in a four freshmen and one sophomore lineup with pretty inexperienced players besides Dennis Badalow. And this kind of sparked the team, and they brought it within three at one point. But bad shot selection by freshman Caden Powers, and inability to get a stop when we needed it most, kind of was the downfall of this game. And once Central Connecticut State had that glimmer of hope late in the middle of the second half, the game got away from us, and we went on like a 5 minute stretch with no field goals. And yeah, the Blue Devils took advantage. But earlier in the week on Tuesday, American University came to the Jersey Mike's Arena and got their business pretty handled by the Scarlet Knights, 80-71. Game is a little closer than it was late in the game. American hit some big time threes and kind of made it look closer than it was. But this was a solid outing. American is a great team actually. They were the 16th seed coming out of their conference last year and won. Actually, no, sorry. They lost their play-in game to Mount St. Mary's in the 16 versus 16 game, but they're returning a lot of players. They shoot the ball pretty well. In the first half, it was tied, and they shot lights out. Only I believe like 8 of their points came from the 2 point, from the mid-range and layups. Everything else was a three-pointer. And once they cooled down, Rutgers settled into their game. We were led by Dylan Grant with a second straight performance coming off the Lehigh game with 22 points on 7 of 12 shooting. But Dylan Grant did not show up in the game against Central Connecticut, only scoring 5 points on 12 field goal attempts. So a very inefficient game, and all five of those points actually came within the first 5 minutes. So he was a non-factor and was even benched for the final 5 minutes where we were trying to mount a comeback. So we'll stay tuned for a big week of Rutgers hoops. Hopefully, we'll bounce back from this weekend, but chances are pretty low.
Jumping on to the next team, Seton Hall, still 5-0, approaching their Maui Invitational games. Just to review the past week, they did have the New Haven Chargers to face, handled business as usual, 68-45 at home win. And in this game, some of their main guys did not show up as expected. Bud Clark specifically, 30 minutes on the floor, 1 for 7 from the field, only 2 points in this game. Did have 5 assists, but with another 6 turnovers, not what you need to see as a guard, as highly anticipated as he was, but he's still getting used to the power play of the Big East. Um, as for our leader, Tawan Simpkins, guard off the bench, 27 minutes, 18 points. Um, Stephon Payne, AJ Staten McCray, the only two players in double digits for the Pirates at 13 and 12. Stephon Payne, 13 with 11 rebounds, 7 of them on the defensive side. Jumping into their Maui Invitational games, their first game is going against the NC State Wolfpack. Coach Will Wade, um, over at NC State. NC State is projected to win this game 83% to 16%, and and I would expect so as well. I don't see Seton Hall really. They put up a fight, but I don't say that they win this game specifically. Um, Other than that, that is their only game up until the 30th when tournament season um, ends. Moving on to the next team, Princeton. Um, a little bit shaky, standing at 3-3 currently. Their earliest game since we recorded was against Iona, and they did take a big loss, 89-69, 20-point loss for them. Dalen Davis once again did show up big, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Off the bench, Sebastian Whitfield, another 15 points. Jackson Hickey with 11, and Malik Abdullahi with 10, but still coming up short with where they need it. And then they face off against Northeastern, getting a win here, 57-70 for the Tigers. And in this one, Dalen Davis again dominating the stat sheet, 14 points um, for the guard. Jacob Huggins off the bench with another 14 points. Jack Stanton and Malik Abdullahi also in double digits with 13 and 11. Jackson Hickey with 8. The scoring for this Princeton team seems to be very spread around a lot, getting a lot of guys in double digits, but Dalen Davis seems to be the main guy scoring the ball. Now, Princeton does have a tournament game. They are in the Terry's Chocolate ESPN in events invitational. They face off against Bradley, 2-3 Braves team. They are projected to win this game. Bradley is projected by 80%. Princeton's 19. Not very promising um, for the Tigers. But um, honestly, I believe that Princeton can get this win. I have not seen too much Bradley basketball, so I don't know what to expect for them to go against. But Dalen Davis has been having some great scoring games. He's had some good scoring outings, especially against Kansas with 21 against Kansas. So I like Princeton um, to win that one for their tournament game. And then after that, they do face off against St. Joe's. Um, this one will be, I believe, in Cure Insurance Arena. We did write about this one um, through Garden State Sports. St. Joe's is projected to win 71% to 28%. Again, I'm not too sure about this game. St. Joe's, they were an amazing team last year. They had a bunch of guys. Xavier Brown, transferred to Oklahoma. He was a 20-point per game scorer, and Rasheer Fleming, who went to the draft currently with Phoenix. So I'm not too sure about this game. I believe that Princeton could put up a fight, but potentially a loss for the Tigers. Dylan, get us back into it. St. Peter's, Ryder, and Monmouth.
So speaking of Thanksgiving tournament weekend, Monmouth will be participating in one of these, taking on in the Lafayette Challenge. I don't know if this is considered a tournament, but it's more of a three-game stretch for the Hawks, where they begin on the 28th to take on Ball State. And this is a game where Monmouth should be favored, and I believe they are. They're sitting at 2-3, but after suffering a pretty hard fought loss against Syracuse, 78-73, falling this past week on the road. You know what? They look like they are contender in the CAA, and after Justin Ray's sophomore 6'3" guard, 25-point scoring game against the Syracuse Orange, and he looks to be one of their leading scorers, which is a good sign to see. So I really think this is a tournament where Monmouth is going to go out and shine. They have Ball State, Lemoyne, and Lafayette, obviously the Lafayette Challenge. Three back-to-back games on back-to-back days, and none of these games, I believe, Monmouth will not be favored in. All teams are lower competition. I think Lafayette's definitely probably their hardest opponent, as it will be on their home court, and there won't be their home fans in support. But this team can definitely get it done. I want to mention Stefanos Spartalis. I think I mentioned him in the last podcast episode. Had a very spirited effort against Robert Morris, and the Monmouth Hawks were able to pick up a 71-70 win in overtime after Stefanos Spartalis hit two clutch free throws with under 10 seconds to go to take the lead. He finished with 18 points on 5 of 13 from the field, not too efficient, but 8 of 8 from the free throw line. And I mean, again, this is a freshman doing this, and I don't know exactly what his age is. He might be an older freshman as he's from Greece, but Monmouth has found one of their best scorers, and this is a freshman to watch out on the national level. He has competed, and he has put up good box scores and good games against the highest competition you can get, as they have played a pretty difficult schedule to start the year. And I think Monmouth, if he is able to show up in this Lafayette Challenge, they will be able to pick up some wins. Those three games obviously are the only games they will be participating in this week. They have a nice little break right now after taking on Robert Morris, and they won't play till the 28th. So we'll stay tuned for Monmouth.
Player I want to mention. You mentioned players for Monmouth. Stefanos Spartalis. Guy I want to mention, Jason Riviera Torres. You might remember that name. Acting in Big Show swagger, popped off on Apple TV, but he has been playing great basketball for the Hawks. I mean, started within his first few games with 13, 20, and 10. Syracuse, the 5-point loss, surprise, didn't show up too big scoring wise, 7 points, but he did have 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Got all around guy. Then in the Robert Morris game, 16 points, 11 rebounds, an assist, 2 blocks, and a steal. This guy has been all over the floor. He's been all over the country, really, transferring around from Vanderbilt, San Francisco, and now at Monmouth. But if Monmouth does indeed make a run this year, they do have some guys that have been scoring, but the guy that I would watch out for most, honestly, is Jason Riviera Torres. If they pick up some big traction this year.
No, I'm with you with that. The good thing about Rivera Torres is that he's a little more experienced on him than Spartalis. Spartalis, obviously a freshman, so things could get a little shaky down the stretch. But Rivera Torres is a junior forward. He has experience. He's not in the Monmouth system of he's from San Francisco, and as I said, like that's an established program nowadays. They're always a contender in the WCC, and if it wasn't for Gonzaga, I really see San Francisco being a consistent March Madness team, and they do make it every, like, couple of years. So he's been in systems, he's been in the Vanderbilt system before, and I really like his experience. So yeah, I'm with you with that. And so moving on to St. Peter's, they are not going to be competing in one of these fake like Thanksgiving tournaments, but they do have a game against Ivy League Dartmouth, the Dartmouth Big Green. They will be taking them on at home on November 29th, in a game where I believe they will be favored in by a good margin as well. Obviously, St. Peter's led by their guy. I think out of all New Jersey teams, I believe St. Peter's has the one score to rely on. Brent Bland, sorry, senior 6'3" guard. He's been honestly going. This is I mean, and one of a fantastic year across the league. To start, Delaware, they did defeat St. Peter's this past week, 81-70, but in this game, Brent Bland put up 21 points, 7 of 17 from the field. The Blue Hens did pick up their first win against the Peacocks, but on Delaware's home court, it was always going to be a hard game for the Peacocks, and they did fight hard. They got off to a very bad start, and they were just playing an uphill battle. They were down by 23 points at halftime, and even though they cut it to 11, they got it close, but the first half margin was too much to overcome. They did, though, pick up a very hard-fought win against UMass Lowell Riverhawks, 68-66, in a game that was a nail biter. I mean, I was actually tuned into this game, looking at the box score. I could not able to watch it, but as this game got closer to its conclusion, the scoring was very dry. It was a defensive battle as with 5 minutes to go, it was 60-62, and each team only scored 6 and 8 points to finish the game. And Alatumbe Bakare had some clutch buckets down the stretch, and they were able to pick up a big win. St. Peter's was actually led by T.J. Robinson, freshman guard, who's been putting up a very good season to start. He had 15 points on pretty inefficient scoring, but he got it done at the free throw line. And Brent Bland in this game scored 13 points on not the best efficiency, but he played 40 minutes a game. That's he played every minute. You know, the coach really trusts Bland and is showing in his defense and his playmaking ability. So St. Peter's will have a pretty light schedule ahead of them for this week before taking on some more Power Five opponents, including Rutgers in early December.
Hopping in next, Fairleigh Dickinson FDU, still struggling. They did pick up their one win. They will not be playing. Actually, never mind. They are playing in a tournament. The FDU Basketball Classic. Seems like an annual tournament they hold every year. But their win last week, the St. Elizabeth Eagles, Fairleigh Dickinson Knights, FDU took that win 100-58. Saro Martinov, the leader in that one with 23.7 rebounds, 2 assists. Noah Melson with 14 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Rayshawn Johnson, David Yevtik, and Arthur Cox all hopping in the game with 10 points for the Knights. Looking into the FDU Basketball Classic, their first game is against the East Texas A&M Lions. They are projected to take that win by 52%. The Lions are a 2-3 team going into this one. Fairleigh Dickinson 1-4 so far, but their first few opponents were some very hard games to play against. 2 Jersey State battles with NJIT and St. Peter's, 2 close losses at that, and then their other 2 losses out of the 4 against Iowa State and Texas, 2 notorious Power 4 teams for basketball. So this team is a little overlooked at 1-4, but I believe they can get the win in this one. And then for their second game in the Basketball Classic, they take on the Army Black Knights. They're projected to win by 73 in that one. Army, a 1-5 team, taking losses to some big losses at that, to St. Thomas, Minnesota, Duke, Harvard, Cornell, and Marist. So that should be 2 good wins for FDU to pick up their schedule to go on and face Providence after their break off of the tournament. And to wrap up the New Jersey teams for this one, NJIT had 2 games since we last recorded, 2 losses at that. The first one was an absolute crushing by the Drexel Dragons, 75-43. And this one, Ari Fulton was the leader with 13 points. No one else in double digits for the Highlanders. Next game against Navy, there was another 86-70 loss. In this game, much more well fought by the Highlanders. Jeremy Clayville led them with 16 points. Ari Fulton, 12 points with 13 rebounds. David Bolden with 10. Jordan Rogers with 11. And off the bench, Sebastian Robinson with 12. Looking ahead, they do not have a tournament they're facing, but they do have 2. First one being against the Cincinnati Bearcats in Cincinnati at Fifth Third Arena. They are projected to lose this game by 98%, and I would suggest the same thing from them. Not much to play against there. Their next game after that is taking on the number 6 Louisville Cardinals at the KFC Yum Center. They're projected to lose by 99% in that one. Ryan Conwell leading the Cardinals. And again, another expected loss for them. Two losses you can't really blame them for in Cincinnati and Louisville. Their next game after that is against Eastern Michigan in Eastern Michigan. 3-2 team. NJIT standing at 3-3. Eastern Michigan is projected to win by 85%. Um, I see a bit more of a fight in this one. I mean, we know NJIT can fight for wins. They fought against FDU, Loyola Maryland, and Fordham. Three teams that I believe could compete with Eastern Michigan all on their best day. So give NJIT their best day in this one. I mean, Jeremy Clayville did have 16 against Navy in the last one. He can keep up that scoring along with other guys like David Bolden, who's their leading scorer right now with 13 points. If guys can get it going early, I believe they can take a win against Eastern Michigan. But then that wraps up all of our Jersey teams.
Let's not forget about Ryder.
I thought you went over
No,
Ryder.
no, not Ryder yet. Ryder, uh, continued their gauntlet of a schedule this past week, taking on Texas and the second ranked team in Houston. And this is their out of their 5 games they had played, 4 of them were power four teams in adding on Virginia and Rutgers, and all four ending up in losses. Texas was, it was pretty spirited. I won't lie. Like, obviously, the score doesn't say 99 to 65, but Riders, they're down 16 and a half. Texas is a pretty hostile environment to play in, to be honest. It's not like they have a new head coach. Like, the fans are pretty with it on this team. They think this is going to be a new year, and Ryder walked in and like they gave it their all. Flash Burton, their leading scorer, put up 16 in this game on 6 of 13 from the field. Ryder was destroyed by Dalen Swain on Texas, who scored 26 points on very efficient shooting. Looks like he just used his size and probably killed him in the paint. But against Houston, they didn't fare too well. It was 91-45, your final from Houston, and Ryder really had no scoring at all. I mean, the scoring was spread out. The leading scorer was Caleb Smith with 13 points, but really this game was just a blowout from the start. It was 20 plus game at halftime, and Houston extended their lead to 40 to 46 by the end of the game. Flash Burton in this game actually put up a donut in 19 points of play, 0 for 2 from the field. Looks like he was shut down by Houston's guards, as expected, as that really is only the only source of scoring that Ryder really gets. So I think Houston probably put their best defender on him and shut him down all game. And yeah, Ryder is 1-4 right now. Their only win coming against the D2 school in Eastern. It's not looking too good. I won't put it any better. But you know what? They have a very winnable game this week on the 25th. No tournament, so they have a lot of break this week. Rest up after a pretty gauntlet schedule, and they take on a 1-7. I mean, 8 games is a lot to play already. The Coppin State Eagles, who are projected to get annihilated by Ryder. So that's a good sign for the Bronx as they hopefully can pick up a pretty easy, no stress win at Alumni Gymnasium, their home floor, this Tuesday. And they will have a long rest and not another game till the 4th of December, where they will take on Merrimack at Merrimack's home arena. So I'm hoping to see a good win out of the Bronx this week and get back on track, because even though they're 1-4, their schedule does not do them justice, and I hope to see some improvement out of them. And that wraps up all of our New Jersey teams. The recap of our New Jersey teams this past week, and I just want to quickly dive into some of our keys to this week on what we're expecting from our tournament teams. We'll start with, what are your thoughts on Rutgers? I haven't really heard your thoughts on them.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I had high expectations for Rutgers this season. Not necessarily high expectations meaning they win the Big Ten and they get like a 4 spot in the tournament and they make a Elite Eight run. That's not what I necessarily meant. I had high expectations, meaning I really thought they would really handle business within their first 5 games and then go into the tournament, the Players Era tournament, and not necessarily get a win against Tennessee, put up a fight against Tennessee. They get an unexpected win against Notre Dame, and then they get to that third game, um, potentially win. And then after that, they're rolling against Purdue, rolling against Michigan. They take on Seton Hall. Like I thought that they would really be into their schedule early so they could handle business late. And that clearly isn't the case for Rutgers. I mean, they haven't really figured it out yet. Dylan Grant certainly does have it figured out. But so far, they only have one win above, I would say, about 12 points. And that's all against mid-major teams. And that win being against Ryder, who has taken a lot of heavy losses this season. They didn't have many expectations to begin with, but only 12-point win against Maine, only a 12-point win against Lehigh, a 9-point win against American. These are all good teams for mid-majors, but when you're a team like Rutgers, you're supposed to take these dominant wins by 15 to 20 points. You're supposed to go against Central Connecticut at Jersey Mike's Arena. You're supposed to dominate that game, knowing you have Tennessee waiting for you on Monday in Vegas. So going into the tournament, I expect a fight. I mean, I expect Dylan Grant to do what he's been doing for most of the season early on. I expect Tariq Francis to try and score as much as he can. But if you're asking me if I expect a win from any of these guys, I really don't. Um, Even I think the Notre Dame game potentially could be a toss up. The way Rutgers has played against the competition that they should be dominating. So as you said, I really expect quite a blowout against Tennessee. Notre Dame, um, more of a conversation, but I don't expect much.
You know, like I'm completely with you. I mean, as a fan who watches every game, this is actually did what I expected. I didn't expect a loss, obviously, but I didn't expect them to be good. And I know I probably sound like an angry fan or something, but to Steve Peichel and our athletic department, why in the world was Central Connecticut State ever scheduled? Why was it even on the schedule? It doesn't make sense to me. A Friday, right? It's a Friday night, and first of all, I Tennessee played the night before. There was not a single team that day besides UCLA, but UCLA is on the West Coast and does not have to take a 7-hour plane ride to Vegas. Not a single team besides UCLA played a game that was playing in Vegas. Not a single team that's playing in Vegas in this tournament played Friday except Rutgers practically. And it makes zero sense because win or lose, you have to get on a plane Friday night. You're gonna get bad sleep Friday night. You're gonna sleep all day. You're probably gonna have a late start to Saturday. You're gonna have a late you're gonna have to do practice, rehab. Win or lose, especially lose now. We're tired. Rehab all Saturday. You have to get back on track. You're gonna be jet lagged. You need to get your sleep back into Sunday, right? Sunday you're gonna be wake up early morning practice. I bet you today had early morning practice. Walk through like all this, like look like where your facilities at. Like get to the hotel room, like you get settled, and then you're gonna wake up Monday morning. Mind you, this is the first game. 1 o'clock means 10 a.m. in Vegas. 10 a.m. in Vegas. That means you're waking up at 4:35 a.m. That means you're getting to the facilities at 7. That means you're not fully rested from Friday night's game. You have not got the rehab you needed, and you're taking a game on Monday night. On Monday morning, you're gonna be tired after that game, and you're gonna take on another game Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday morning. It I don't think Rutgers will have any fully rested players for any of these games, and I think it's fully credited in a bad way to Steve Peichel and our athletics department. Why would you schedule this game against, first of all, a somewhat decent mid-major team? They're not bad, and we knew they were not going to be bad. It should have been a win, but we knew they're not going to be that bad. Why schedule them this late into the week? And then, yeah, it just they should never been on the schedule. It should have been a 4-0 Rutgers team going to Vegas, and I do not like that. This team will not be fully rested, and I don't want to use that as an excuse, and I'm not going to use that excuse if we lose to Tennessee. But there's a good chance it happens, and if I see any like players like clearly losing stamina, losing their like getting gassed late into the game, I will look at Steve Peichel and I will be like, what was the point of this? What was the point of of also what was the point of not like the substitutes on the Central Connecticut State game were awful. They kept their players in for too long and then kept them out for too long. It was pretty disoriented. So yeah, that's kind of a little rant there. Sorry about that, but like
Yeah.
it's just how it feels after losing to a team like Central Connecticut State. And then quickly, I want to touch on Seton Hall. Seton Hall will have a few games this week, starting with NC State, and others to be determined depending on their first outcome. But I really like Seton Hall, to be honest. I know they've had some like close games, and that's not really a good thing to see. But like a lot of these mid majors just come out and play these games with way more heart than Seton Hall comes into, and like a lot of these teams play up the competition. So like I think that if NC State's playing like they're a better team, they're gonna be like a fringe ranked team this week. I think Seton Hall will play up to to their level, and I think if someone on the roster steps up and takes that scoring lead and like if they're able to get off to a hot start, I think Seton Hall and these boys can get it done. So
Yeah,
we're looking
I
to
agree
see.
with you. I agree with you totally. Now, what I will say about Seton Hall, where they succeed and where Rutgers necessarily doesn't, is that they know how to go in and handle business. I mean, just looking at their schedule, they have mid majors that I would say are on a comparable level to what Rutgers was playing against. St. Peter's, they go in and win by 27. Wagner, a little bit more debatable, only by 7. But Fairfield, they go in 82 to 59. That's over a 20-point win. Um, Monmouth, we know Monmouth is our dark horse so far to be um the mid-major New Jersey team to end up in the tournament. So not much to say about that game. But then New Haven 45 to 68, that's over a 20-point win. They know how to go in and handle business. Now, the one thing I also say about Seton Hall is I don't think they have it fully figured out yet as far as who are the guys who is going to step up. You wanted to see Bud Clark be the guy to step up after the amazing games that he's had with Merrimack. But clearly he's not accustomed yet to playing on a power team within college basketball. That's not the case yet for him. So right now, Tawan Simpkins, who comes off the bench, is Seton Hall's leading scorer. When a player that's coming off the bench is your leading scorer, that's always going to be a problem. They have a freshman as their leading rebounder. Bud Clark is leading them in assists and steals, and a freshman is leading them in blocks. So I believe that this Seton Hall team has the talent to do some damage in the Big East, do some damage against NC State in this tournament. They can get pretty deep in the Maui Invitational if they establish roles fast. Because looking at box scores for this team, this feels like everybody's just out there doing what they think, doing what they want to do, and not playing as a team. The box score looks like a play of individuals and not play of a team. I mean, Adam Clark putting up 2 points on 7 shots with 6 turnovers. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but from a box score standpoint, that looked like you weren't really out there looking you were out there just looking for scoring opportunities. You were out there to looking to get yourself back up instead of depending on your team to get you back up. And I don't really like that for what Seton Hall has to deal with later in the season when they play against the teams like UConn, when they play against the teams like Villanova, when they go have to face Rutgers, which is always going to be a tough game, when they have to face Kansas State a little later, they got to face St. John's. They have to play these hard teams, and when they're all out there playing like they're really playing for themselves, that's not going to turn out well for them. But they do have the talent to put it together. Bud Clark, as bad as he's playing right now, maybe I know he's going to figure it out at some point. They have Trey Parker off the bench, which he hasn't done much in his college career so far, but we all watched this kid play all over the place in high school. He was insane in high school. I know he can figure it out at some point. Najai Hines, freshman, has played great so far defensively on the rebounds and on the blocks. I know that he's going to figure it out, get the starting spot at some point. AJ Stetton McCray, very underrated this season. I think he can figure it out. Tawan Simpkins definitely going to earn that starting spot soon, being their leading scorer. I know he's going to figure it out. Like once this team really meshes, it takes time for transfers in all of college sports to really mesh as a core. It really takes a year, but college basketball is a longer season. It will take time for this core to mesh. But if they can figure out their roles early and then mesh off of that, they can do some damage. So back to the point, that was a big rant. Um, I expect a fight against NC State, honestly. Um, I don't know if Bud Clark's going to figure it out. That's the main thing for me. If he can get going the way he's been passing so far for this team, strictly, if he can get his scoring going as well, get everybody else going, that's going to be a big pickup for Seton Hall. And potentially see a win. Will Wade is a great coach, but I think Seton Hall has the talent to put up a fight. Win, I'm not sure. That depends on how the game goes, depends on how Bud Clark plays. But I see a fight.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point. I mean, as someone who's watched only like clips of a few games, I actually have seen that. It's like seems like one-on-one ball. I mean, honestly, it's kind of a polar opposite to Rutgers, who almost plays too much team ball and doesn't actually there's not enough individual scoring. But yeah, I mean, I also wanted to mention one point. I think this is a big year for both of our like. Obviously, you have our New Jersey teams, all eight of them, but I think there's two premier teams in Rutgers and Seton Hall, and Princeton's like the third, but right now it's like Rutgers and Seton Hall every year. And both these coaches, Shaheen Holloway and Steve Pikiell, they're hot seat years, and it's there's no simple way to put it. You don't show up this year, you either get fired or your coaching job is as fringe as possible. And I think both these tournaments are just the best way for these coaches to have a low recovery in their season because Shaheen Holloway, ever since taking over this job, what was he really that? Was he that of that good of a coach at St. Peter's to deserve this job? People always have been saying that. He had this miracle run in the tournament. He took a okay St. Peter's team, won the NEC, and made just an outstanding run. I mean, they became like the team everyone fell in love with St. Peter's. Everyone was like, let's go St. Peter's. And how far can they go? They made it to the Elite Eight. But what did Shaheen Holloway do that was that amazing at St. Peter's besides that moment? Not I don't really I can't really say he didn't make the tournament only that year. And he deserved the job at Seton Hall. But what has he done at Seton Hall to prove himself as his coaching job is safe? Nothing. 3 bad years and three no tournament. And this is like a breaking point. If you don't Seton Hall is known for winning. Kevin Willard, known for winning. And ever since he left, there hasn't been winning. So I need to see this year to be like a good year for Sheen Holloway to be like, this is my job to keep and it's not going anywhere. And I think starting off with NC State and the two other opponents that they will be facing, pick up 2 wins, get to 7-1 on the season, and then now we're talking about a good Seton Hall team. Now we're talking about a team that is going to play together and wants to win games. And Rutgers, get one game. It's not hard. Get to 5-3. Just be 5-3 by Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Get to 5-3 and okay. You got the game. This team can play. We're not going to be a walkover in Big Ten play. Thank you. Get to 6-2. Now we're talking. Get to 7-1. Steve Pikiell, you're here to stay. So I want to see what these coaches are made of. How this year, where although buyouts might be expensive, teams in college basketball they pull the trigger quicker now. It's no messing around. NIL's here, funding's here. You can buy coaches now. You can get them out of here quicker. So big year for both these teams. Big year for all of New Jersey. And yeah, this week is going to be a fun week of basketball across the nation, across the U.S. Looking to see New Jersey hoops do well, get some good records going into conference play. And that's it for this week of Turnpike Takes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.